Okay, we're into it. Okay, good evening everyone and welcome to Kangan Institute's Motorsport team. We're here tonight to we're lucky to have two professional motorsport identities, one being Matt House, who's been in motorsport for a long time, and he'll divulge what he's been up to the last 20 odd years in motorsport, could be even more than 20. And our most up and coming driver that Kelly's have had for a long time, Andre Heimgartner, an absolute gun. And Andre will give you the process, how he's got to where he is now. Now, first of all, I better introduce myself. I'm Greg Molden from Kangan Institute, obviously, with the assistance of numerous people around the campus. We run our motorsport course. It's getting bigger every year. Our intakes are getting bigger. So for anyone out there that's interested, get on the website after we finish tonight, have a look, put an expression of interest in, and we'll reply and tee up a interview with you. Of course, going through the virus at the moment is hampering us a little, but it will still come back to putting a name in and getting an interview organised for next year's course. Hopefully everything will be back to square one. Now, the following guy I'll introduce will be Matt House. Now, Matt, as you can see, those on the photo is the gentleman on the right. Matt's been involved in motor racing a long, long time, of which I'll get Matt to say shortly of what teams he's been involved with. And where he is and his position at the moment at Kelly's, which is team manager. A vast job at the moment, particularly because they've been away for 6 to 8 weeks, I think it is now. And Matt's job's description has changed quite a lot. The good-looking young fellow sitting beside him is Andre Heimgartner. He's the gun, he's the driver of the Ned Whiskey Mustang. And we've got a picture there, I believe, which we'll put up shortly. Showing the Ned Mustang and also the car that Andre's boss Rick drives, the Castrol Mustang also. So that's our introduction of who I am. Matt is Andre. We'll go into our next little segment, which is the pictures, and I hope that's happening for you at the moment, the pictures of the two race cars. And following so is our supporting motorsport teams. Kelly's have been the instigator from day one of our intern program, been a massive support, and even when Kelly's were Nissan, it all started there and it's progressed on to now to the Mustangs. We also have 5 other Victorian teams involved. We've got Gary Rogers Motorsport, we've got Tickford Racing, Walkinshaw Andretti United, Erebus Motorsport and Team 18. So we're pretty well credentialed in the supercar area, where we have interns on a regular basis, and good thing about it is they go through the process, they're selected by the race teams to be involved, and then a lot of them have gone on to be full-time employees, which is a really good outcome for Kangan. So I'll progress on the next one, which will be the course overview. Now, our course overview, we have a Cert 2. Now, the Cert 2, as it implies, it's the entry level. It's basically a new student learns different components of the vehicle, how an engine works, a gearbox, a differential or a transaxle, how the wheels, brakes, everything else works. And it has a motorsport flavour to it. Some of the Cert 2 guys we put out for work placement because I appreciate the fact some prospective students know more than others, but we all treat everyone the same. That's a 6-month course at Docklands from Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. Our Certificate 3 is for 12 months. It's a little different. We identify a lot of race components, we pull them to bits, we work out how they work, we put them back, and we're fortunate to get a lot of current resources from the current race teams we deal with, which makes the experience for the student fantastic to the fact that they're working on the latest components that could be on some of these race cars. So it's a hands-on course. Naturally, we've got theory involved. You can't have all the practical, you've got to have X amount of theory. And currently our theory is going online, which is proving very successful. Once the virus is over, we'll turn around and get the students in for their practical elements, and we'll do some catch up there, and hopefully early next year we can get this back to where we normally had it. Now the internships, when we initially started this off, and I started it off with the advice of one of our directors there, Joe Bellato, people that know him, people that mightn't, interesting man. Stop laughing there, Gavin. The internship works pretty simple. We get an intake of 20, 25 students. Each student gets an opportunity for a one-on-one interview with 3 independent teachers at Kangan. We compile a score sheet. We pick out the top 15 or 16, and then the system becomes independent to Kangan. We invite the race teams up, be it the team managers and the number 1 mechanic. They go through the 15 students. They need 2 internships. The team picks the intern. So it's a very fair system. And then we progress down and end up having 7, 8 or 9 interns out there. Now, an internship is you're in the team for 12 months. Budgets permitting, the teams will take you away to some of the race meetings. That all comes back to budgets, and obviously that's going to be a talking point in the next couple of years, I'd suggest, for everyone. But we do our best to get you out into some of the race teams. Kangan, through our resources, take you to the Grand Prix, take you to the MotoGP. We do quite a few of the local race meetings at Sandown and Winton. It's all experience for the prospective new student. So I'll probably conclude there. There's a lot more advice on the website, and be sure that you'll find some phone numbers, and they'll end up giving you a direct number to me, and feel free to call me anytime, I don't mind. We're always looking for the good students that stand out a little. Now, I'll come back to our 2 fine gentlemen there. Matt, before we get on to a bit of a question time, would you like to give us a little rundown of where you started and where you've got to now, please?
Well, I started, I think it was back in '94. Actually, yeah. Started first professional job was a PJR. Then moved down to Melbourne to Gibson Motorsport. From Gibson Motorsport, ran Greg Murphy's Carrera Cup team for 3 years. And then Brytech. And then after Brytech, I've been at Kelly's now for 11 years. So it's, yeah, it's been a couple of years in motorsport.
Just a few. Great, fantastic, Matt. So for those that are listening in tonight and watching, you can see Matt's been at it a long time. He's obviously had a passion to get into motorsport as a younger fella, and the results stand at where he is. Andre, how would you like to give us a little brief of how you got into motor racing to start with?
Yeah, so all started when I was probably about 5. My father actually used to race. I used to follow him around and used to think, oh, it'd be awesome to do this one day. And I used to look in the yellow page book and used to point out the go-kart places and used to pester him one day to actually get a go-kart and get stuck into it. So yeah, it was sort of a different way of it happening. And, you know, we never had any intentions of it being as successful as it sort of was. It was more of a fun thing to start with, and that's sort of how it got going. And then we go-karted for many years there, just doing it for fun, just spending time with my family, because the main thing is you've got to enjoy it. Obviously, if you're going to dedicate basically your whole life to something, you have to obviously enjoy it and enjoy every aspect of it. So for me, it started out there in New Zealand, as where I was born, and then we progressed to things like Formula V, Formula Ford, all those junior categories. Came over, did Carrera Cup, as well as the Super Tours in New Zealand, which some of you may know about, that happened from 2012 onwards, and then did things like DVS for 2 years, and then into the main game in 2015. So yeah, it's been a long time since there. So basically all of my life, bar 5 years, has been involved in racing and being at tracks and traveling and all that sort of stuff. So it's been a pretty cool experience so far, and it's been really good to be in the position I am now.
Great, fantastic, mate. That was really good, fantastic. Okay, just a couple of quick questions off the cuff. What does your day typically look like, Matt?
Well, pretty basically, we start at 7:30 in the morning if we're at the workshop. We do a quick wander around the workshop, check all the departments. At Kelly Racing, we're quite a self-sufficient team. So we do up to 95% of the car in-house. So we've got every department from machine shop, composites, fabrication, engine shop, sub-assembly, and then you've also got the mechanics. So probably the first hour of your day is just wandering around, checking every department. After that, you basically see where you're at from the last race meeting, any dramas we had, anything we need to look at fixing, and then look at any improvements we can do for the next or coming race meetings. So normally you're trying to plan well, back in the normal world, we were trying to plan 1 to 2 race meetings ahead. Coordinating the guys, getting pit stop practice in, pretty much just making sure we've got everything that we require to go racing.
Pretty intense resume to do.
Yeah, no 2 days are ever the same, and you don't really get bored. So
no, and of course the unforeseen circumstance of we happen to get a bit of damage on the vehicle, it's a different procedure again.
Yeah, well, especially touch wood, we've been pretty lucky this year, especially considering the circumstances we're dealing with. Yeah. So from that point of view, it's been really good.
Okay. Andre, what's your favourite part of motorsports? What do you enjoy the most about motorsport?
I guess the competitive side, and it's not just competitive for the driver. And some people would maybe look at the sport and think it's a very individual sport, but there's so many areas that, you rely on each other, like when we come in for pit stops or, even the car itself. If you have a car and let's say you're the best driver, but it keeps on braking or it's not fast, it's no good to you, really. So you really need to rely on having a good, solid crew. And that's sort of where people like Matt have had all that experience and can really help with that sort of stuff. So that's sort of that.
Okay, great, mate. Thank you. I'll come back to Matt. If you could give yourself a pre-motorsport life, what would you be doing?
Well, the only advice you could give is probably from when you started, well, when I started motorsport. Don't be afraid to take a risk. Motorsport can take you anywhere, can take you all around the world. So if you got the opportunity to go to Europe, go to America, just grab it with both hands and give it a go. So I'm kind of a bit too old now for that one, but if you're young, up and coming in the sport, there's plenty of opportunities out there.
Great.
And certainly I've seen so many parts of the world that I wouldn't have seen if it wasn't for doing motorsport.
Okay. Andre, if you weren't racing cars, what would you be doing? If you didn't go down the avenue of racing cars in motorsport, what avenue of lifestyle do you think you'd be doing now?
Not 100% I'm not sure if I didn't start racing, but I actually am a qualified finance broker as well. So if I wasn't racing right now, that's sort of what I'd be doing. But there's nothing else that I really had a passion for. And I said it's basically what Matt said there. A lot of people in life do jobs they don't want to, I guess. So to find something, a sport or a job that you're passionate about and going after that, I think you can never really go wrong as far as that goes.
Okay, excellent. Matt, I think we've nearly covered it, the final question I had. Any advice to prospective new students that could be interested in internships or whatever?
Like I said, it's just one of those things you've got to give it a go. If it's something that you're interested in, you have to be passionate about it. Motorsport's not something that you can just do half-hearted. You have to be 100% committed to it. And the more you put in, the more you'll get out of it.
Yep. Exactly
there's
right.
plenty of opportunities for promotion with inside motorsport, and you never know when that window is going to open for you.
Yep. Yeah. Well said. Well said. Now we've got a bit of an open question time, I believe. People have called in or left a message or something, and I'll have to hand back to setting all this up to advise us how we get to the questions for you guys.
You're there, Greg. It's Martin. I'm just looking at the board.
Yes, Marty.
There was a question from a gentleman called Kramer asking about how does he get into motorsport? So I've advised a little bit about looking on the website at our courses. Can you follow up on any more information on that?
Well, do you guys want to have a go, or you want me first? Or
I think the way, well, especially over the last 5 years, the way it's worked, doing a course like what Kangan does, that's your best stepping stone into motorsport. You can volunteer, help out your friends if they're in motorsport, but if you haven't got any other connections, doing that course, if you look at Kelly Racing, we would have had at least 15 guys that are up and down pit lane that have come through Kelly Racing. And currently, we've still got at least 3 or 4 that are full-time employees with us. So that's got to be the easiest and best way of getting into motorsport.
Yep. Any thoughts here, Andre?
No, I think it's a really good way. Obviously, the Kangan thing, you can get fed straight into a good team if you have that desire and you have the skill set. So it's definitely a really good way to go straight into that, because it'll probably be very difficult otherwise to sort of build your way up through the ranks. But that also isn't impossible. We've had some really good mechanics that have also gone the other way. But yeah, obviously Kangan, I think, is the way to go.
We've, years ago, we all sort of been through it where we went to a race meeting and volunteered to help somebody. And it worked, but now things are a bit more, to use a nice word, professional. And I suppose in reality, what you've both said is true, 100%. Come through a course, you establish the contacts, you can really find out if you really want to do this job. And sometimes it can be long hours, but there's a lot of fun in it too. And a lot of enjoyment when that car comes past and gets the checkered flag. There's no doubt at all about that. Martin, any more questions there, please?
Sorry, Greg. No, we've quite audience. We don't have any questions that I can see.
Well, we must be doing a pretty good job. Well, we'll go back to Matt and Andre.
Actually, tell you there is a question in the Q&A sections. It's from an anonymous attendee, and they've asked, how many students will Kangan take for 2021 for both the Cert 2 and Cert 3, and how are students chosen? So maybe just talk a bit about the next intake for motorsport and what the selection criteria is.
Okay. I briefly covered that before, but I'll go back. That's no problem. The selection process is people apply online. We return an email. We invite them for a interview over the phone. If they're local, if they're interstate of that, we do a phone hookup. We probably look 10 to 12 Cert 2s and possibly the same number of Cert 3s. We have another intake in February, and we have one in July. Now, we're planning on them next year. There's no doubt about that. But if I said that 3 months ago, I'd be telling lies. So we have planned what we're doing next year. It's all subject to what happens to our current environment and what the government decisions are. So all I can suggest to that prospective student, those questions, that's the best I can answer in these circumstances. But get on the website, put your name in, we'll return a call or an email, as I said, and we'll get the wheels turning for you. But the intakes are February and July, both. I hope you're
Greg, 2 more questions. One is about course fees, and the other is also about what non-mechanic roles are available within supercar teams, and how do we go about applying for those roles?
I think I could nearly pass that to Matt, because Matt, as previous down at Kelly's, was factory manager, so he would know what departments have what down there. Thank you, Matt.
I guess basically, as far as your automotive goes, we've got Caleb down our machine shop. He came from the Kangan course. Actually, last week he just finished his apprenticeship, so he's a qualified machinist now. We've had a couple of students that we've put on and decided to go into composites. So I guess the way the world's going as far as construction of race cars and so many other industries, the composite industry is certainly one that's growing. We've also got the fabrication shop, so you learn sheet metal skills, welding skills, basic boilermaker skills. And then if you don't want to be on a car as a mechanic, there's also the engine shop, which purely all they do is the engine work. And then you've got sub-assembly who does all the components when they come off the cars for servicing. So there's a fair variety of options. So all our interns start basically in the mechanical side, and then they decide basically direction they want to go in. And we're always more than happy to put them into different departments for them to try, see what they think. And then it's up to them for which direction they want to go.
Yep. Thanks, Matt. Great. Got another one, Marty?
Actually, I've got Gavin. Gavin, did you want to answer the question on the fees?
Probably just revert everyone back to the website. So the latest fees, scheduling, timetabling, so on will be through that. So that link that you put through, I'll post again. That's probably the best avenue to get all the information that you need.
Fantastic. Greg, I've got another one here.
Yep.
Are the courses full-time, and are they run during normal working hours? Is it something that can be done part-time?
We run Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 8 till 4:30, and some weekends. We're at the tracks on the Saturday and Sunday, and sometimes Friday. So in respect to somebody that might have a full-time job, will be very hard to balance the two together. I can assure you of that. Yep. Thanks, Marty.
One more, please, Greg. What type of courses would you choose to get into V8 supercars? I think you've sort of covered a lot of this, but there might be something you could add.
We have, and once again, we go back, have a look at the website, our career path in Cert 2, Cert 3, the association we have with the supercar teams now. And if you're fortunate enough to get an internship, well, you've really got more than one foot in the door. But bear one thing in mind, you have to do as you're told and perform. And what I mean by perform, listen to what you're told to do, and you do it the team's way, not your way. That's a very vital part of it. If you're going in there headstrong, think you know everything, you'll be there 5 minutes. I know that sounds very rough, but it's the truth. And I think Matt will back me up on that too. Yeah.
It's kind of a polite way of putting it.
Well, yes. Yep. Another one, Marty?
Sure. This is one from me, if I could, to the boys, just to ask how they're coping with travelling, avoiding the COVID from border to border.
Well, I guess for us, we're the lucky ones. We're not in lockdown in Melbourne. It's probably tougher on our families than actually it's us. And the fact that we've just spent nearly 3 weeks in Darwin, it's not the worst place in Australia to be during the Melbourne winter. And now that we're over in Townsville for at least 2 weeks. So it's certainly, I think we've been on the road for 52 days now. We're lucky that all our crew is getting on so well. If your crew weren't getting on as well as what they are, it would be a completely different story. But I guess we're just, yeah, I guess it's credit to our crew that they're making as, I guess, as bearable as possible. So that's the main thing.
Good, Matty. I've just got a quick one to throw in there. For everyone listening in and viewing, jump on the Speed Cafe website and look up Kelly's trips. Kelly's go around in a big coach, take all the team around. There's some funny scenes of fishing, etc., how they fill their time in during the week. Give you another concept of what these guys are going through while they're away from home. They're really good to watch, particularly fishing ones with Matt.
I guess from that point of view, we're also lucky to have Todd, he's with us all day, every day. And he's 100% doing his best to make sure that the guys, it's not 100% work, that they're enjoying themselves by organising fishing trips. Now in towns where we're looking at another activity that we'll probably go off and do next week. So each event that we go to, we try to do one activity where everyone's going to enjoy it. So, and he's probably the main one pushing for that to happen. So
That's
we're
great.
very lucky there.
Yep, that's good. Marty, any more?
Yep, I've got a couple coming through. This one's addressed to Andre. How important is your relationship between you and your head mechanic?
It's obviously very important because when you hop in a car, you're trusting that your mechanic's, done things like obviously prepared the brake system correctly, and the safety of that vehicle you're putting in their hands. So definitely you need to have that trust there, and it's something that you'd like to develop a relationship with the number one. Unfortunately, sometimes people go off to do different ventures and stuff like that. But from a driver's point of view, your engineer and your number one mechanical, both of your mechanics are very important to your success, because you know, you want to minimize your mistakes. You want to minimize the DNFs or any issues that you have. And we have so many changes that we do to the car over a weekend with the setup that me and Dylan or me or whoever it is in your engineer does to the car. So there's lots of pressure on your mechanics. So to have good, reliable mechanics is very important, and to establish that relationship and have that trust is even more important.
Good. Any more, Marty?
We'll just have time for one more question, then we'll have to wrap up. We've got another webinar starting.
Okay.
Last question. One of our viewers would like to know how far away you guys are from actually jumping on the podium and getting a few firsts and running through it.
Well, yeah, we a few meetings ago got a pole and a second, so it's heading in the right direction. But you know, all things sort of obviously take time, but we're pushing very hard in every department to sort of get that done. Obviously, with the new car, there's a lot of new things we have to learn, the mechanics, the engineers, me. So there's a lot of things that need to line up, but definitely we've got the ingredients now. There's no doubting that. We have moved to the Mustang for a reason, and it's been great to have the support of Ford. But yeah, we still have a lot of things to move, but you never know. It could be this weekend. We're going to a street track. We haven't been back there. And we had a challenging last round, but we definitely found some things with the setup, and we have a clearer idea. And one thing you'll sort of learn when you're involved in motorsport is that, you know, not every weekend, most of the time, can be successful. You're always going to have down weekends and up weekends, and, you know, even half a year or 2 years sometimes is, you know, going to be down, and you're going to be learning and all that sort of stuff. But you've just got to take that on the chin, learn what you can in those times, and really embrace the success when it comes. But hopefully very soon we'll be on the podium and you know, get a win.
Well, guys, I'll finish it up if you like. Andre, Matty, all the best for the weekend. Let's get that Ned Whiskey car up there on number 1 on the weekend. Safe weekend, and thanks very much for your time tonight. It's been really great. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if anyone has any more questions that couldn't be answered in today's panel, then just write them in the live chat at Open Day and we can help you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.